Okay. Hello, I am Dr. Ashley L. Tayab. I'm a pharmacist, and today I'm chatting with Miss Patricia Williams. Miss Patricia has an amazing story, and I wanted her to come on this platform and share it with our listeners today. Miss Patricia, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
You're welcome. I'm excited to be able to just share my story and anything I can do to inspire others.
Yes, for sure. Now, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you started on your journey, your health journey, I should say.
Sure. So, again, my name is Patricia Williams. I am in Louisville, Kentucky. And basically, I have struggled. I've just been one of those from very young. I've struggled with weight management. Very early on, I had, just some anxiety and just self image issues like a lot of young girls have. And now, when I look back, I'm like, I wish I could go back to that little girl. I did not have a weight problem. But it just kind of grew and escalated as I got older. I always worried and everything about my parents, because my parents had me older,
Mhm.
and I'm one of 13. And so what I found out later on in life as I started my journey, I think some of the roots of my problem with eating was that I would eat when I felt anxious, when I had anxiety, or when I felt stressed.
Mhm.
So that again just grew into adulthood. I had an abusive marriage. So again, anxiety led to eating more. I immediately was diagnosed with high blood pressure when I was 19. Of course, a lot of things happened between all of this, but I don't want to like go too deep into it. But just to give you some ideas of some of the things, like it just kept showing up in my life that, with anxiety, with fear, with stress, then I would eat the wrong things. I was always going and working, and, going to school, trying to better myself for my children. But again, I would go to hit all the fast food restaurants, on the way home, not really cooking healthy, not really exercising much. Now, there were periods here and there as I became an adult that I tried different diets. I was very successful with several of them, but I never really learned how to develop the lifestyle. So, of course, once you lose a few pounds and you start feeling like you're looking good, then you go back to McDonald's drive-through.
Okay.
So it never was sustainable. But what really that pivotal moment for me, what hit home was 5 years ago. Unfortunately, we lost the father of my children. And so he wasn't the dad to all my children, but he definitely was the father, and, relied on him heavily. And another, marked similarity that we both had high blood pressure, and he was diabetic. I was at risk because of having both parents with diabetes, but some of the reasons they weren't able to help him, they could not perform surgery on him for the issue that he had, was because all of these health issues were so far out of whack. They knew that he could not sustain a surgery.
Okay.
And so just thinking about, how these, vitals that, you go into the doctor, those are the first things they always take. They want to know how your blood pressure is, your heart rate, your temperature, those things. Those play a critical role in whether or not, you become susceptible to other illnesses and what and how they can treat you should something occur. So that's what basically happened with him. He could not survive a surgery and unfortunately passed away. In our last conversations during those few days, I mean, I just committed to him that I was going to take care of myself. I was going to change my lifestyle so that I could be around for our kids. I mean, definitely, some emotional times, but there are moments that I will forget, and they definitely are a part of why I started this journey. But then as I begin to go further on, it definitely became more about me as well, because I know that, I can't really fulfill my purpose 100% if I'm not 100%. When you don't feel good, you cannot perform at your best. So this whole experience for me, the last 2 years have just simply been amazing. for a number of reasons, but especially just with being able to move more, to interact with my kids, to seeing them being excited and proud of the changes that I am making.
Okay. That's great. And I definitely want to commend you for being a strong woman, because it does take a lot of strength to go through those trials and tribulations in life. So I commend you about that. Now, I have to relate with you when it comes down to the anxiety piece, because I too have been suffering from anxiety, especially around coronavirus. It was real unexpected, to be honest. A lot of people, I don't think they realize that how serious anxiety can be, or how a lot of people suffer from than what they think they may not suffer from. So I think I was one of those people who were like, okay, yeah, I have a little anxiety, but I try to brush it under the rug a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely can relate to you when it comes down to the anxiety piece, for sure. So what prompted well, I know that you said that you mentioned the father of your children passing, and so I know that had some it contribute to the you're changing your healthy lifestyle. But what else did prompted it other than that?
So I have an awesome doctor. I've had the same doctor since I was about 16.
Uh-huh.
So one thing I can say is that I didn't have a doctor who was just quick to be like, here, take this medicine, take that medicine. I would have a lot of pain. I suffered with knee pain, pain in my feet, and it was really just because of carrying so much weight. And although I wasn't exercising, I can say that I was active in doing a lot of things. Like I've always been community involved, volunteering here, going to school, taking care of the kids. So I was doing a lot. But when I would tell her, my knees hurt, I'm coming in, my chest hurts, all this stuff, she would say, you need to lose weight. She would begin to draw diagrams on the paper you have on the bed where you sit.
Oh
She
yeah.
would start drawing pictures of the pounds and how many calories. And I was so upset with her. But I thank her today, because she could have been one of those that just made me addicted to some sort of medication, or just, kind of, what do you call it, like where kind of, you block it, you like mask the real problem by medicating, because it really wasn't a medical, issue. It was more of, a weight issue, an exercise issue, that sort of thing. So she began talking more and more as I got closer to this year. So 2 years ago, she kept instilling in me every time I go to the doctor that, it gets harder after you get 40. I'm like, what happens when you get 40? Like, I don't know. It was like, I don't know. It was just a way for her to kind of make me pay more attention. I was seeing her more and more over a period of time. I ended up getting up to 6 different blood pressure medicines, and 2 of them were a combination pill. So you could really say I was on more blood pressure medication than that. Then I developed some asthma. I was having high cholesterol. She was really worried about the diabetes, because my parents, are both diabetics. I'm one of 13 kids, as I mentioned. So I've got several, I want to say 4 of my siblings all have diabetes. I had one brother pass away at 52 due to diabetes. So she was trying to motivate me not to go down that path. So, just thinking about, what my doctor was saying, being in pain all the time, and then really starting to get in tune and in alignment with my purpose. I had worked in corporate America for a majority of my career. My background is in HR, but I started to really understand that my calling is more in community-based work, and that I really want to be able to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. And in order for me to really be able to go full force into that arena, I couldn't be sick all the time. A lot of times I wouldn't even tell people, because you become ashamed, you become, disappointed in yourself, because I really, didn't feel well. I can remember times waking up in the middle of the night and going to the emergency room and not telling anybody, because I didn't want anybody to know that I didn't feel good. I'm just like, I don't know what's wrong with me, that sort of deal. Like, where I thought I was having a heart attack one time because my chest was hurting, but it was all because, I just wasn't doing well by my body. And I don't know, I just had that aha moment, because I didn't start immediately after My kid's dad passed away. It took a little while. I mean, we were grieving. I was dealing with things with the kids and their emotions. So that was probably still another way. I was going back to old habits and eating. But I don't know. It was a couple days before my birthday. I had met this guy at a networking event, really buff, amazing looking. And I'm like, what do you do? You know, and he said, I'm a personal trainer. So I was really intimidated by this guy, but I was like, give me your card. I'm going to call you. Like, I'm always doing events and stuff. So I try to network with people. And so I told myself, I said, okay, instead of buying a cake this year, I'm going to buy me a personal trainer. I'm going to do a few sessions. No intention on really, you know, committing to anything long term, but I said, I'm going to try it out because I felt like I needed the help. I had tried going to the gym before, but I wasn't really self-motivated enough to do it on my own. So that's one of the first things that I did was hire him. And that was really a great move for me. He's been a tremendous part of my journey and we're really good friends now. But I also needed some support somewhere else because coming in the gym is hard when you're 300 pounds, you know, and when you're not used to being active, and then you got this specimen in front of you who's like, do this, do that. And I was like, I can't do that. He kept saying, don't say you can't, say you can't do it right now. I say you'll do it at another time. And I'm like, he don't get it. He don't understand. He don't have the issues that I have. But I couldn't give up because I'm not a quitter and I'm just that competitive. And I really just had changed that mindset that I wasn't going to give up this time. So I became introduced to CBD. So I did not change any of my diet. One thing that my trainer was telling me, he's like, don't worry about that. We just want you to get moving. Just get moving. So the only thing I gave up initially was soda, and I replaced all drinks with water. I was going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. And I started taking the CBD oil tincture drops, and I started drinking coffee. Okay. So I want you to be able to, buddy, and I don't know how much further you want me to go into it, but yeah, that's what I did.
It's good. Oh God, coffee, don't get me on that. But I wanted to ask you, since you did have your doctor, who I think did a great job just by redirecting you to the basics, and that's just exercising and getting moving in addition to your trainer. Now and because I'm a pharmacist, one of the drugs that I dispense the most is called Atipex or Phentermine. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
You haven't? Okay. So this is it's a weight loss drug. And I was just curious if you had or had anybody or any healthcare professional mention it to you, because it just seems like it's the go-to drug for weight loss. And I'm trying to wrap my head around it because, you know, as far as the activity is concerned, I think that's the more holistic approach in addition to the CBD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at one time, to be honest, I went to a friend of mine's doctor just because I wanted help with weight management. I was in my mid-20s or so, and I don't even remember what it was. The name you said doesn't sound familiar. Okay. But I went to this doctor just because they said this was a doctor who will give you medication. And mind you, I'm not a person, I really don't like medication. I don't like things that kind of alter, you know, my mind or it make me feel like high or have any type of psychoactive, you know, effect. So it was almost like an act of desperation. I just wanted something to help me to be able to shed some weight quick. So whatever this was she gave to me, I took it for about 3 days. And I remember one day being at work and I was walking down the hallway and I didn't pass out, but it was almost like I blacked out for a minute. Like I started to feel dizzy, I felt weak, and I just kind of slid up against the wall. And I remember a coworker coming to me saying, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I think this is I mean, it was real. It was scary." Yeah. I'm like, "Oh my!" I said, "So whatever this is, I'm never taking it again." It just wasn't worth it to me to feel like that. Now I did notice, like, I felt like I was like sweating and my metabolism was probably increasing, but it was almost like I felt like I was on something. Like I would be feeling like I'm moving fast, but I'm really going slow. And I was like, nope, I can't take it. And so I went back to my regular doctor and I never told her. Yeah. I went and saw this lady and got this stuff.
Well, good thing it was only 3 days and you knew, and your body knew, okay, no, we're not going to do this. Now, speaking on that CBD aspect, now, how did you get introduced in that, and why did you decided to add that as your supplement versus anything else?
So, I did not actually know a lot about CBD before. So I'm
Mhm.
also a professional network marketer, and I had been involved with the company who basically networks and markets a lot of products and services. So CBD was added into the portfolio a couple of years ago, which provided an opportunity for me to do, some research.
Okay.
Now, I still wasn't one of the ones that just started right off, taking supplements. I was, kind of leery of it. And especially because, as I said, I had taken a few things in the past that just didn't work well for me. Even over the counter stuff that people would say it helps you with weight loss. I tried things out of Walmart or whatever,
Mhm.
and it just didn't seem to interact well with my body because I just never like those things that make you feel like you don't have control over what you're doing or you just don't feel normal.
Right.
So I started listening to some of my partners in the business and, what they were saying about the products. I did some reading and, I talked to my doctor about it as well. And she was like, it's all natural. Some of the research has been good as far as what I could see. She said, try it, and just see how it goes. Monitor your blood pressure, those sorts of things, which we were already doing anyway. But anytime I would try something new, I would always ask because my blood pressure was just so far out of whack that I wanted to make sure I wasn't doing anything that would make it any worse.
Mhm.
So I never was a coffee drinker at all.
Mhm.
I just never liked coffee or cared for it. But since I started with not necessarily changing my eating, then I added the coffee in just every day. And the coffee seemed to really help with appetite suppressant because the line that I use definitely has some other healthy ingredients as well, MCT oil and the Ramon seeds. And I just noticed I was more energetic. I was taking the stairs at work instead of the elevator. And I don't know, it was just over time I had to even track back and say, oh, it's the coffee because I
Mhm.
have a sister. She started taking it with me. We were drinking the coffee. She still gets the coffee to this day. She's
Mhm.
a little bit older than me. She's in her late 50s. And she wanted to lose a few pounds too.
Mhm.
And so we laughed because she's lost like 40 pounds, but she's not exercising, ain't hired no trainer. All she does is drink the coffee. And I'm like, that's not fair. Like I'm out here working my butt off in every way. So
Right.
it's just been really helpful. And then with the teachers, I just really thought that it helped with my focus.
Mhm.
As far as the anxiety, I just feel more relaxed. And when things come up, I'm not as worried because I just have, even from, just childhood, I've always been, I worry about things. I want to fix everything.
Mhm.
I'm worried about how everybody else is doing and not necessarily about myself. And
Mhm.
so I think that the CBD tinctures, and I really know because I tried it for 30 days and then I took like 2 weeks off just to see, what's going to happen now. Is this really, I need to manipulate it. I need to prove that this is really working. And it did. Like I could really tell the difference in me emotionally, and then just being able to carry out, full days effectively and not really feeling down.
Mhm. That's good. I actually, and speaking on that anxiety piece, I didn't even think about CBD when I was going through the anxiety from even last month until I was introduced by another pharmacist because in the state of Georgia, I was thinking, oh, we couldn't have anything to do with CBD because the THC and things like that. And just the information just was confusing to me. And when I thought that I couldn't promote any type of CBD or CBD business, I thought, okay, I'm not going to even dabble into it. But then when I got further education about it, I was like, oh, okay. And then in addition to it being more natural, when I tell you I feel the same way, I make sure that's my daily go-to as far as my tincture is concerned. And I just have an overall more more calmness about myself. I don't worry as much because I like to say, my mom, shout out to mom, she worries a lot. And so I tell mom, I was like, Mom, I don't want you to worry because if you worry, then it makes me worry.
Yeah.
So let's not worry. Let's just keep it calm. So I am an advocate for the CBD when it comes down to the anxiety piece and also the energy as well, because I'm noticing a change in my energy too. And I drink the coffee, and I'm actually doing a little fast this week. I haven't had any cravings, haven't had any, oh my God, I'm just so absolutely hungry. It really does suppress the appetite, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, what advice would you offer someone who is trying to go to a better lifestyle or a healthier lifestyle? What advice would you give them if they want to try to start that, or they're just kind of stuck when it comes down to a healthy journey?
So I would just say a little bit goes a long way. I think a lot of times we think that in order to get started, we got to be perfect or we got to do, so much. But we have to understand that, you don't have to be perfect to start, but you do have to get started to
Mhm,
become perfect.
mhm,
When I first started, working out, then we only stayed in the gym maybe 30 or 40 minutes. And I was like, this ain't enough. Like, have I did anything? I'm very vocal. So I would ask my trainer, and even though I'm half breathing and everything, I'm like, we only been in here.
30
He's
minutes.
like, don't worry, you good. So, even if, your process is going out and starting out walking for 15 minutes, that's something. I think a lot of times we just tend to discount the things that we do.
Mhm,
Everybody's process is different. So you got to see what works for you. I also think that we can't be afraid to use tools and resources like CBD and natural supplements that are here to help you. And then for me, I'm at a point in my life now where I finally realize and admit that I want a coach for everything.
mhm,
So I think you should align yourself with somebody who can coach you to where you're trying to go. So when I say for everything, a life coach, a physical health coach, health and wellness, but then a spiritual coach, a professional coach, you have to align yourself with people who are already at where you're trying to get, because that can show you, where you can maybe not make the same mistakes. They can guide you, they can be empathetic, they can give you advice. And it doesn't mean that you have to do everything the way they did it. But for me, it's been very helpful now that I could finally own up to that, because I think, just Black people in general, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like in my experience, a lot of times we don't want to admit that we need help.
mhm,
In my family, I've always been considered like a strong person. Everybody thinks I got it together. I
mhm.
don't necessarily, go ask for help a lot. So it made me apprehensive to tell people when I was having problems, when I was having anxiety, when I was in an abusive relationship. I didn't go to anybody because people expect me to be the one they can come to. So that's not always a good thing, just to hold everything inside. So we can't be afraid, you can be strong and still get help and access resources,
Right.
so that you can be your best self for others. So that would be my advice, just simply to figure out what works for you. As I got on into my process, then I began to identify what the root cause of my problem was with weight management. I did not know that when I first started, but as I go back in, a part of my trainer, what we did every month, he was like, we need to reevaluate. What were your goals? This month, what are your new goals? What did we achieve? And why did you do this or why did you do that? So I could appreciate that he questioned me a lot, because it made me begin to think about why I made the choices that I made in the past and how I was going to be different now. Because
Mhm.
that's how you begin to develop a lifestyle versus something temporary. You have to know what the real root of the problem is. Nobody really wants to be obese or overweight or uncomfortable or unhealthy. So that if there are things that you can do to prevent that, then you got to get down to the root cause.
Okay. Now, how much would you say CBD was a factor in this health journey, percentage wise?
I think it's been a huge I think, I don't know that, I can't go back and really say what would have happened, but I don't know if I would have been as successful and consistent if I didn't have it. I will put it right up there along with my trainer, maybe 50-50. And then even getting into more products as I, started to lose. You might know, like, how you first start and you're losing a lot of weight, but then you get to those little lapses where you got to manipulate the body, manipulate your eating habits in order to lose more. And I'm kind of going through that again now as I want to get to the next phase of my goal. So you have to keep changing and keep doing different things, because what you're doing now becomes old and your body will just, stay the same and not necessarily lose. And so with the Weight Wise spray that they have created now that includes the CBD oil and some other healthy components, I mean, that has really helped me move the needle in this first 5 months we're into the year, because I started that in January. And now I'm trying something else that came out that also includes the glucose support. So I think it's been very significant for me. And then I'll just say, speaking about all the medications that I was on, now I'm only on a half of a blood pressure pill. All other medication have been eliminated other than my CBD supplements. And then by the end of the year, my doctor is expecting me to be off of all medication. And this is with doctor approval, because I know sometimes people take themselves out their medicine. I never did that. What's so crazy was I began getting sick at work, and I went to the doctor twice, and we finally realized that I was getting sick because my blood pressure was too low.
No.
And I had been so used to having high blood pressure that I didn't even think check your blood pressure, because I keep a machine at home and at work. But I just really have seen some amazing results. And I don't know that even from, aside from the physical components and just losing weight, I've lost weight before, but I did not become to where my blood pressure was under control and being taken off medication. So I think CBD definitely has impacted those, vital health components that we all want to keep at the optimal level. So yeah.
Right. I think as we're wrapping up, one of the things that people don't realize, or people may do realize, that there's a huge stigma on CBD, but what they don't realize is that there is also a lot of benefits when it comes down to CBD. In addition to that, it's natural, especially coming from my profession and career. I see so many people dependent on so many different medications, and they don't have to be, but it will have to line up with what their doctor is telling them and what's going to be best for their life. But definitely just another option as far as an alternative to just synthetic medication is what I call them, because I am an advocate for just more of a holistic approach when it comes down to anything, whether that's anxiety or weight loss or just overall health. Anything that you can do that's more holistic, I think is definitely beneficial than just, okay, let me just pop a pill and then I'll feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you again, Miss Patricia. This wraps up our little segment, and I hope that someone gets something out of this. And until next time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.